What if I told you that a man with no army, no crown, and no kingdom rose from the dusty edges of a village, lifted only by faith and fire, and shook the greatest cities of West Africa to their knees? This is not legend. This is real. It began with prayers and ended with empires. Today, I will tell you the true story of how the Fulani did not just walk into Nigeria. They conquered it, and nothing was ever the same again. Before we continue, do well to like and subscribe to this channel and help us grow so you can get more of our stories on a daily basis. Long ago, before the name Nigeria was ever spoken, there were people who walked with cattle. They were called the Fulani. Some came from the Senegambia region, what we now call Senegal and Gambia. They were tall, thin, light-skinned, and strong. They lived in Sahel, the dry land between the desert and the forest. Historians say the Fulani came from a mixture of Berbers, which are North Africans, Arabs, and West Africans. By the 11th century, they were already following the teachings of Islam. They began to move east slowly. They brought their cows. They brought their Qurans. They came looking for green grass and peaceful lands. The great movement began between 13th and 15th centuries. They entered the land of the Hausas, places like Kano, Zaria, Gobe, Katsina, and Daura. These Hausa cities were rich. They had kings, taxis, palaces, and markets. But the Fulani did not fight. They came peacefully as herders and as Islamic teachers. By the 1400s, many Fulani families had settled in Hausa towns. They helped teach Islam and Arabic writing. Some were Malams, Islamic scholars. Others continued their life as pastoralists, moving cows from one grazing area to another. They didn't try to take power. Instead, they worked with the Hausa kings. The kings gave them places to stay and allowed them to preach in mosques. For a long time, the Fulani lived quietly. They paid taxes. They followed rules. They even married into Hausa families. But deep inside, some of the Fulani were not happy. They saw that the Hausa kings were becoming corrupt. They said the rulers mixed Islam with idol worship. They said poor Muslims were being taxed unfairly. The Fulani scholars believed they had to return the land to pure Islam. A time was coming. A fire was building. And soon it would rise. In the small town of Maratha, in the kingdom of Gobe, a Fulani boy was born. His name was Usman Fodio. He was born in December 1754 into a family of Fulani Islamic teachers. By age 20, Usman had memorized the Quran. By age 30, he was teaching people across Hausaland. He spoke against injustice, greedy rulers, and taxes on poor Muslims. He gained followers, both Fulani and Hausa. Usman moved to Degel, where he began preaching more openly. At first, The king of Gobe, Nafata, allowed it. But his son, King Yunfa, feared Usman's power. In 1802, Yunfa tried to kill Usman. That was a mistake. On February 21, 1804, Usman dan Fodio declared a jihad, a holy war, to purify Islam and protect oppressed Muslims. He called himself the commander of the faithful. Many Fulani pastoralists joined him. Even some poor Hausa peasants joined. The battles began. Usman's army lost badly. 2,000 of his fighters died. But he did not stop. His brother, Abdullahi dan Fodio, took the western front. His son, Mohammed Bello, led the eastern attacks. In April 1805, Fulani forces captured Benin Kebbi. In 1807, they captured Kano. In October 1808, they took Al-Kalawa, the capital of Gobe. The king, Yunfa, was killed. In just 4 years, they had defeated the most powerful Hausa kingdoms. This was not longer a small rebellion. It was a revolution. After victory, Usman did not crown himself a king. Instead, he created an Islamic empire. He called it the Sokoto Caliphate. In 1809, a new city was built, Sokoto. Usman gave power to his brother Abdullahi in the west and his son Muhammad Bello in the east. He ruled by Sharia law, guided by Islam. Schools were built. Taxes were lowered for Muslims. The Fulani emirs now ruled places once ruled by Hausa kings. By the time Usman died in 1817, the Sokoto Caliphate was the largest empire in West Africa. It controlled lands that are now in Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, and Chad. The Fulanis entered Nigeria peacefully as herders and teachers. But over time, they saw the Hausa rulers were corrupt. They saw that the poor Muslims were suffering. The scholars had no power to change things peacefully. So, when Usman dan Fodio rose, the Fulani and others followed him. They believed they were fighting for justice. The Fulani won. They took control of 14 Hausa kingdoms. They spread Islam deeper into West Africa. They built the Sokoto Caliphate, which lasted until the British took over in 1903. But this was not just a war of swords. It was a war of beliefs. A war between old days and new faith. A war that changed Nigeria forever. So, this is how the Fulani entered our land. First as visitors, then as teachers, then as warriors, and then as rulers. They came with cattle, but they left behind an empire. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Share this story to your children and friends and families.